lovely people. Welcome to episode 2, part 1 of It's Richard Matt's House of Horrors.
In today's news, we will try and do our top 10 horror films of all time.
So, yeah, it's basically, it's going to be our top 10, and it was quite hard doing this list, because, yeah, anyone who's a horror fan or any type of fan of films, and you've tried to make a top 10 of any genre, you know it's going to be hard, and horror is no exception.
I'm still thinking about my list now. I'm not completely happy with what I've done.
There's always ones you can change, isn't there?
Yes.
But we've agreed that
No changing.
no change.
Okay.
So, okay, my number 1 is Halloween, the original. So that's it. It's Halloween. It's 1978, and that for me is it's a classic. It's the best Halloween. It's the first one, obviously. It's the best one. It's probably got the least amount of kills, I think, in any Halloween film. It's got about 6 kills.
But it has a lot of atmosphere throughout the film.
Creepy atmosphere. Yeah.
Good music. Again, I have a pen for horror music.
John Carpenter.
Yeah.
He is the man, yeah. I mean, but definitely Halloween. I mean, I'm sure most horror fans know the story, but, you know, it's about based little Michael Myers, who ends up brutally murdering his sister, and then it's like sectioned. And about 15 years later,
he learns to drive.
He does. Suddenly learns to drive like that. He obviously breaks out as well.
Yeah.
And then
he grows.
He grows huge, like
into William Shatner.
Yeah. That's a pretty funny thing. That actual mask is William Shatner's face. Apparently, like, they were really stretched for the budget, so they were going around props, and they found that prop, and they was able to use it. And I think that's pretty funny. That
they had no budget at all, did they?
It's an iconic like mask, and that is actually William Shatner. Good old Billy.
Good old Bill. Well. He would have been acting like this.
He would have. Oh yes, he would. And yeah, so yeah, that's definitely my number 1. If you haven't seen it, where have you been, people? Go and watch Halloween, the very first one, and then tell me that that's not a really creepy film.
Yeah.
And, you know, like Matt said, the actual score is fantastic as well. They'll do. And then I would say my number 2 film, it's a film we talked about in the first episode. It's a film I'm a huge fan of, as is Matt. It's The Lost Boys. A fantastic vampire film.
Not much to say.
We've kind of said a lot about that in episode 1. And then I would say my number 3, it's A Nightmare on Elm Street. Obviously, like, as I said before, that's the very first film. It's a horror film I ever watched when I was 4 years old. So that has to be in the list because, one, it's an iconic film about a sick man, sick bastard. And
good old Fred.
It's, for me, like, I was never a massive fan of Nightmare on Elm Street. You know what I mean? Like, 1 and 3 for me are fantastic. Quite a few of the rest of them are
ropey.
Yeah.
Ropey to say the least.
I do like Freddy vs. Jason though.
Everyone loves Freddy vs. Jason.
Apart from Kane Hodder. And
wasn't he in it?
No, Kane Hodder wasn't. And I'm pissed at that. And and so is our friend David Quinn, who
met Kane Hodder.
Very funny story. He actually asked me, is Kane Hodder in Freddy vs. Jason? And I just went, yes, because I genuinely thought he was. I didn't do my due diligence. I didn't actually look it up. And I said, yes, he is. So going to Fright Fest, Kane Hodder was going to be there and he'd be signing autographs and DVDs and whatnot. And David brought along Freddy vs. Jason for him to sign. Needless to say, it didn't go too well. And I almost got choked out by Kane Hodder because David basically said, he told me. So, I almost got choked out by Kane Hodder because it's a bit of a sore point for him. And I'm not surprised because he, to me, is Jason Voorhees. Come on, like, he's played Jason Voorhees 4 times, from part 7 up to part 10. And he should always be Jason Voorhees. But yeah, they ended up putting in it's another stuntman, because obviously Kane Hodder was a stuntman, still is a stuntman.
Was it Ken?
Ken
Kersinger.
Ken Kersinger, yeah. And yeah,
Really
Kane
nice
Hodder.
man. He was a nice
Kane Hodder was really pissed at that.
Yep.
And I'm not surprised, because apparently they didn't really tell him too much. They didn't tell him too much. They just, he was just basically cut from the film.
Yeah.
And I think that's complete bollocks, because I'm a big fan of Kane Hodder, and he was a top guy at Fright Fest.
Yeah.
Very, very friendly. Like that. There are some stars that I actually found out just like actually yesterday. Tom Savini is meant to be a complete prick.
Really?
Yes.
He was at not Comic Con, the last one I went to, and he seemed okay.
No, I've heard from quite a few people that if you're female, with big breasts and whatnot, then yeah, he pays attention.
Oh shit!
But if you're male with big breasts like Matthew and myself,
he pays attention.
No, he doesn't. No, Matthew fleshed him. No, but no. Yeah, he's meant to be a bit of an. I'm going by what other people have said. That apparently, he doesn't really. He barely shakes you and barely looks at you as well. And if you're going to do these conventions, look, you don't have to do them, okay, right? But if you are going to do them, at least pay attention to people who are actually paying money for like photographs or autographs. If you don't want to do it, don't do it.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Want to get back on with your list?
Yeah, I do.
Good.
So,
Calm down, sir. Calm down. I can see the face going red.
Rant aside.
Thank
So, yeah. So, it's number 3 was it's Nightmare on Elm Street 1, I'll say. So yeah. But it's number 4, Texas Chainsaw remake, not the original. Oh yeah. As I said before, not a major fan of the original, but the remake was awesome. And on a side note, best rest in peace to it's like Gunnar Hansen, who unfortunately passed away on it. It's like Saturday, just basically gone.
He was the best Leatherface.
Yes, he was.
Punk.
Yes. And even though I wasn't a major fan of that, but he is Leatherface. He was the original, he is Leatherface. And yeah, but the actual remake, I was a big fan of. It's fantastic. Lots of gore, lots of good kills.
Jessica Biel.
Yes, Jessica Biel. Whee. But yeah, I would highly recommend. It's a sequel and a prequel, definitely. So if you haven't seen them, go and watch them, people.
Not the 2013.
No, that's pretty poor. Pretty poor. And then I would say my number 5, Hills of Eyes. Once again, remake. Wasn't a major fan of basically the original growing up. But the remake, yeah, especially the first one. First one was absolutely tremendous. Yeah, I'm a big fan of both, but like I would definitely say the first one.
Yeah,
definitely the first one. Yeah, and backstory. It's about a family who they're basically they're like driving across kind of like
they got a new camper van there,
yeah,
and they're just
driving across America somewhere, and they basically sort of like stop in this creepy gas station and ask for directions, and then the actual owner, he like sends them to a bit of a dodgy place, and then
to their doom,
pretty much, yeah. And then there's all like kind of mutant cannibal kind of people,
yeah,
who basically live in the hills, hills of Eyes, and yeah, and then
they kill a
pick
dog.
them off one by one kind of thing. And yeah, it's good, definitely recommended. And I would say number 6, it's a film we touched on in the first episode, From Dusk Till Dawn. I'm a big fan of the first one, just like I said. Matt said the same, but he doesn't like the vampires. I do. I like the vampires. I like the whole film. The whole film was just tremendous. Yeah. George Clooney has so many good one-liners in that film.
It's the whole neck thing.
Yeah. Everybody be cool. You be cool. But yeah, no, it's a very, very good film. And then obviously, like we said, 2 and 3, big crap. Number 7 for me is also a film we touched on before. It's The Fog, the original, 1980. Not that pilot crap from 2005. That was really bad, that film. If anybody likes that film, What's wrong with you people, man? It's
There will be.
rubbish.
There'll be
I
people
know
out
there's
there.
always people who's gonna, but like, this is why this is our opinions, and
Yeah.
you ain't got to listen to them. But if you do, great.
Don't listen to
But,
it.
but yeah, think for yourself. But yeah, it's the fog. Backstory on that. It's about old town,
Old sea town.
yeah, coastal kind of town, and about 100 years earlier, is it Spivey Point? Spivey Point, I think it is. But that Antonio Bay.
Antonio Bay.
And it is Spivey Point as well. I'm sure there's that in there. But yeah, Antonio Bay basically,
Antonio.
and 100 years previous, there was. It's kind of like a bunch of it's like lepers who were actually killed by, people who actually lived in Antonio Bay basically, and then 100 years later, they kind of come back for revenge and like target is it family members, isn't it?
It's something to do with the church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like residents who were basically related to people 100 years earlier, kind of thing, like family members, basically. Great family members. And and then they basically have to kill. I think they try to target 5 or 6 of them.
I know they have to kill the vicar at the end.
Yeah.
And I can't remember why.
So about 5 or 6 of them. And but no, it's really, really good. It looks quite cheaply made. It does.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's well worth a watch.
Jamie Lee and Tom Atkins, no?
It is, yes. So yeah, that's the Fog, the 1980 version, not the piece of crap version. My number 8 is Friday the 13th. I'll put that as a franchise because I'm a big fan of the franchise. My personal favourites are part 6 and part 8, and they get slated by a lot of people, and that's their opinion, and it's mine. Obviously, part 6 was the last one before Kane Hodder took over, and I thought that was very, very good. I'm not too sure who played Jason Voorhees there, but he did a good job. And then obviously part 8 is my boy Kane Hodder. Legend.
Where he goes to Manhattan.
And so I'll put them in as a franchise kind of thing, but like I said, part 6 and part 8 for myself. But it's number 9. It's a franchise I basically love. There's 5 of them. Obviously, the first one for me is the best one. Final Destination. They were great in the cinema. I watched all 5 of them in the cinema, and Final Destination 1. Wow, that was back in what 2000.
2000, yeah.
2000, I believe, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so Final Destination, great franchise, but yeah, I would definitely say the first one is the best one, and just highly recommend. I do recommend
all of them,
all 5 of them, but
good kills.
Definitely the first one, yeah, fantastic kills, and basic story is you kind of miss death. And death doesn't miss you. It comes back for you in some way, somehow it comes back for you. But yeah, so I would definitely recommend Final Destinations, and that's my actual number 9. And then my 10th and final one is Trick or Treat. As a film from 2007 that was hopping around from festival to festival, and they got picked up in 2009, and we saw it at Fright Fest 2009, and it's fantastic. It's 5 sort of short horror stories, like a good old anthology series, and it's got Brian Cox in it. It's Anna Paquin, and it's got a few other people, that you would see from TV series and a few films and stuff. But I don't particularly know their names. Sorry.
Just clever the way it all comes together.
Yes, that's a very, very good. That's what you call a good anthology series when it all ties in, basically, and that's exactly what it does. It was directed by Michael Dougherty, and it's fantastic. I highly recommend it, and that's Trick or Treat, not or treat, or treat. And yeah, that's highly recommended. So that's my top 10 there. It's very, very hard to do because there are so many more that could have went in there, and you've got chop and change, but that's my list there. Yeah, and stay tuned for episode 2, part 2, where Matthew will be taking over.